A poorly aligned table saw can lead to burning, out of square cuts, and potentially a kickback. Reduce the chances of running into any of these problems with a quick table saw tune-up using Woodpecker's saw gauge. Woodpecker's saw gauge uses a machinist-grade dial indicator to measure the distance between the miter gauge slot and the blade of your table saw. It doesn't matter what brand table saw you have, how old it is, or how expensive it is. The Woodpecker's saw gauge will give you an accurate reading based on the exact center of the miter gauge slot. It does this by stacking 3 pins in the slot. If there's a variation in width, the 2 smaller pins will move in or out to keep the larger pin perfectly centered. It's automatic. With the pins in the body traveling straight along the miter gauge slot, the dial indicator can precisely measure the distance between the slot and the blade. Just drop the body of the saw gauge on the cradle pin at the front of the blade. Zero out the dial indicator, then mark the point where the plunger meets the saw blade. Rotate the blade toward the rear of the saw and check the same point. Follow your table saw manufacturer's instructions on correcting any misalignment. The saw gauge also makes quick work of aligning your table saw's rip fence. Compare the readings at the front and rear of the fence and adjust as needed, following the same manufacturer's instructions. You can even use the saw gauge to check for runout in your saw's arbor. Whether you're tuning up a vintage table saw or dialing in a brand new one, the saw gauge will make your saw more accurate, safer, and more fun to use. Order yours today.